Hello and welcome to the very first Seismic Soccer episode. I'm joined by Tony Hibbert, also known as Paul, who is having some camera difficulties, and by James, going by the name of, I'm going to say it wrong, Chavi.
Hi Colin, how you doing?
Okay, so Seismic Soccer's fallen under the Seismic Cinema umbrella, and you can find us on Facebook, and I'm just steering into the skid here and calling it X, Instagram, Threads and TikTok. And you can also watch us or listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Pods, and soon not to be Google Pods, because Google's discontinuing it soon. So guys, we've been looking forward to this one for a while. We're going to start a monthly football episode. He's excited and ready to go.
Yeah, man. Never mind all that cinema nonsense. Let's just talk football all the time.
To be fair, I think every time I was on, there was a steer into a football category at some point, something to do with Rangers or something along those lines. So it's about time we got our fingers out and do something with football.
You can only have so much of a good thing. Only so much of a good thing, though, Paul.
I'm just trying to figure out how you're going to somehow mention Star Wars or Harry Potter in this episode.
You've just done it, so ready to go.
Sorted. Nah, looking forward to it. We've been talking about it for quite a long time, and the family got our fingers out. So, yeah, really looking forward.
Dug out the football bits and the shin pads.
Yep, knee supports, and the free spray.
So got a couple of quick fire questions, and then we've got 3 news stories we're going to discuss, and then we've got a wee challenge we're going to do at the end, and there's a wee spoiler on the screen and on my top. I'm wearing the Invincibles top from 2003, 2004.
Sexy. Very sexy.
Not too tight on. I actually do like Arsenal. I liked Arsenal back then. I like Arsenal now. I think the Arteta connection's one for me. Obviously, got a soft spot for Arteta for his Rangers connection as well.
Arsenal in the middle.
Nah.
We weren't doing so well.
not so great, but they still had some good players like Jack Wilshere and his lovely goal against Norwich and things like that. So.
Don't forget the great Aaron Ramsey as well.
He was actually pretty great at one point, yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
Right, he's ready for your first quick fire question out of 3, guys. He's ready for your question. Right, this is a bit of a shout out to Gary, who's also going to be on the football pods, but did the cardinal sin of double booking himself on the first one. But we forgive you, Gary. So this is a phrase that me and Gary use quite a lot, and we call it time capsule players. I think it's just a thing we made up. It's basically players that you're really surprised are still playing and should have retired years ago. So I'll let you think about it for a second. So who can you name a player or choose a player who's your time capsule selection? Somebody who you think by this point should have just retired, and when you see their name pop up, you're like, are they still actually playing? Paul, you got anyone come to mind?
Stephen Fletcher at Wrexham. Stephen Fletcher.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I know he was at Dundee United last year, but I thought he was like gone, like broken, done. Now somehow got a move to Wrexham on big bucks.
I didn't know he moved to Wrexham. That's news to me.
They get beat 5-0 at the weekend as well.
So they get pumped.
Aye, so he's just bringing the good old Scottish reliability.
Oh, that's a question. By the way.
Yeah, me and Gary use it quite a lot because I think like Milan Baros only retired a couple of years ago. That was one of our favourite ones.
Milan Baros. Oofed. That's a blast from the past.
Champions League final fame. He only retired a couple of years ago.
Oh. See, there must be hundreds of players out there.
Is it, will be hundreds.
James, what do you say to your pupils? If you're stuck, move on to the next one and go back to it.
Is it too early to say Dessels or Rangers? I should be retiring, to be honest.
You're gonna put him in a time capsule.
Why?
Just bury him and forget about him.
Are you going to come back to me, man? I'm totally stumped.
Right. I've asked the question, but I'm struggling a bit now. But I'll think of one. Isn't
Thomas Muller? Thomas
I kinda
Muller's
feel like
getting
he's at,
on
like,
getting on a bit.
the right age.
Where's he
I
now?
think Thomas Muller, he's still at Bayern.
Is he?
There was a picture of him at Oktoberfest with Harry Kane drinking beers the other day.
Mhm.
Um,
You got players like
I'm
Luka
actually
Modric.
struggling.
He's 38.
That's true. Yeah.
What about
You're
Joaquin? Is he
you're
still
stealing
playing?
them all now, Paul.
Is Joaquin still playing?
Joaquin only just retired like last year.
Joaquin
Is he
played
not
for
like 40
Valencia.
odd?
Because I remember him in This Is Football 2003. Had him at Rangers.
I knew.
I
He was old back then, enough.
used to play Football Manager back in the day, man. Joaquin was I played with my mate. We would go on in Football Manager and we'd just do like a network, and we would always go to a team in the Spanish league, but it couldn't be Real Madrid or it couldn't be Barcelona. So I ended up going like teams like Sevilla or as Valencia, and I took this guy everywhere with me because he just scored free kick after free kick. So I was like, he was a quality player, but I didn't realise he was still playing. And that's back a good 10, 12 years ago now, man. I played that game.
Yeah. I know he did.
Plus his pace was about 99, wasn't it?
He was one of those ones, Paul, when you're playing This Is Football, you would just hit R2 and he would just gallop.
Yeah.
Is that
And
the
then
one?
you push L2 and dive.
I was just going to say that. Is that the game you could dive into?
Paul used to play that game all the time back in the day. Well, we kind of mentioned a few. So Paul's was who was Paul's again?
Stephen Fletcher.
I can't remember what I said. Stephen Fletcher, aye.
Well, we've mentioned so many now, we could just move on to the next one, I think. So, right, James, you can go first this time. Most vivid own goal, like a ridiculous or memorable own goal that you can recall?
First one comes to mind. This is a ridiculous one. But the first one that comes to mind is the France 98. No, France 98 was France 98 against Brazil, wasn't it? Scotland, Brazil. Tom Boyd on goal. I can remember I was in S1 at the time, and we all got home. We all got away early for school, and we got to watch the football. I don't know what you were at the time, right enough, but I remember that game. Scotland went down quite early in the game, and John Collins scored a penalty, and then that own goal. Just that's one that always sticks in my head. That one.
Isn't it funny whenever Scotland qualify for a tournament, education just stops? So we took the kids off afternoon timetable to watch Scotland England the other year.
Did you? When Scotland played in the Euros there, we were allowed to have the afternoon off to watch Scotland and Czech Republic.
That's the one. We watched Scotland Czech Republic. No, it was Scotland Czech Republic we watched, not Scotland England. Yeah.
Aye.
I was going to say Scotland England was at night time.
I know. It was the same. It was the right tournament. I just messed it up. So Tom Boyd for you, Paul. Was any you scored when DYFL back in the day?
There's one at under 11s when we were 11-0 up, and I scored an overhead kick, and it made it 11-1, and Callum was raging. But I don't know if you've seen. It's probably a bit of recent bias, right enough, but I can't remember who the boy was. But for Juventus against Sassuolo, just literally the last game there.
I seen that.
You see that? Szczesny passed it right across the back line to the centre back, and the centre back first, like Szczesny was in the corner, and he passed it to the centre back, and the centre back just like first time hit it right into the net, and Szczesny was just standing there watching it, like, what the hell what are you doing? He just stood there looking at it. He wasn't even trying to run back to the goal because he was just like, there's no chance. What have you just done? It's an absolute beauty if you've not seen it.
To be fair, I think he ran for it to look like a fool anyway, because there's no chance he'd get it. It's like,
nah. He just looked at him just like, you arse.
Romero scored a belter on Sunday.
But that was more of a reaction thing. That was a bit unlucky.
The ones that come to mind for me, James might remember this one. Do you remember Paolo Vanoli, the Italian defender?
Aye.
It was against Dunfermline, and he just like hit a pass back, and it just somehow ended up in the back of the net. I don't really remember much more than that, but I just
I
remember it
agree,
quite
I know.
vividly. And the other
Aye.
one, I'm trying to remember, it wasn't Gary, was it Gary Neville or someone else? There was a Man United player just like he lobbed his own keeper essentially. I can't remember if it was Neville or maybe it wasn't Neville, it was maybe someone else.
I hope it was Man United anyway.
But I just remember somebody literally just lobbing their own keeper when they tried to pass it back. Do you know the one
I
I mean?
think I know
Paul?
when you're talking. I know when you're talking about. I can picture that the actual thing happening, but I just can't remember
Aye.
who the players were or what the team
So-
was.
Yeah.
But I
So
know when
anyone
you're
who's
talking about.
anyone who's listening that knows what game that is or what player that was, let us know.
I just love the idea of like chipping your own goalkeeper. It's like, how does that happen?
I've done it a few times. Oh, I forgot I had these to set up like that. Oh well. There you go. Right. So the last quickfire question, it could be for your own team or just a random team or the national team. A cult hero you loved. So a player who wasn't that great, but the fans absolutely loved him. Is there anyone who comes to mind right away?
A player that wasn't that great, but we loved them.
Well, cult heroes by definition are like they're not like the best of the best, but they worked really hard and they were quite memorable. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right,
You would say,
I'm going for recent bias again. Kenny McLean. Like he's awful. He's not. Well, he's awful, but he's just not the same level as everybody else in the Scotland squad. I'd say, but god damn, he tries his little heart out and came up with that goal in Oslo, which was against all the odds. I think I said in that Project Football podcast, I was like, he's the last person you want to come on when you're like 1-0 down. He's like the defensive guy that you bring on to close out a game. And came up with that goal.
You love that guy, don't you?
Oh, a day after that goal. Oh my god. Kenny McLean. And he seems just like such a sound guy. So Kenny McLean for me, Scotland cult hero, just for that moment. And I think I've seen some stat as well. Like anytime he's came on, we've not actually lost a goal. So I'll take that any day.
That's lucky, eh? 4-0 Rangers, Ryan Jack.
Was it 4-0?
I didn't realise we scored a third. Seema got 2.
I think I was going to put Seema as the she retired and all. I'm glad it didn't.
For anyone listening, you two are obviously Rangers fans. I'm a Morton fan, just to kind of balance things out here, so it's not just a Rangers rabble 2.0.
Oh.
Good reference, Paul.
Yep.
My cult hero. I've obviously got back to Rangers here because it's my team at the end of the day. I think this player, I really rated him. This player, my mates hated him. Like, I don't know why, but every time you see his name in the starting lineup, it's like, oh, no, him. But he was always a consistent player, but I don't think he ever got the recognition. I'm going to go with Sasa Papic. Big nice. Sasa Papic. He was just always consistent, and I don't think he ever put a foot wrong. Do you know what I mean? But my mates didn't like him at all. He brought to the team. No.
He's one that's quite, from my perspective, quite universally loved.
Aye, well, my mates beg to differ. I'll tell you that much. I think my brother too. But no, I liked him, man. I've always thought he was a decent player, up and down the wing. Do you know what I mean? He always put a shift in. So, aye, that's the first person I came to mind anyway. But I'm sure there'd be more than if I thought about it for a longer time. You know what I mean?
I asked the question. Now I'm struggling. That's not the first time that's happened tonight. Will I go Rangers or will I go someone else? What do you think?
That's up to you.
Right, I'll keep the Arsenal theme. And I don't know, he just keeps coming into my head because he was a good player, but he's also doing a cracking job as is he their director of football? Edu.
Oh, what a player, man. I thought he was brilliant.
No, he's not considered like a top billing Premiership player, but he was a decent player and he's doing a really good job on the kind of transfer side of things at Arsenal as well.
Aye.
That's
I
quite
liked
funny.
him.
I never really thought he was a cult hero at all in Arsenal. I always thought he was kind of a mediocre.
Ooh. So James
But
obviously
that's
rates
just
him there. So
I've given a spoiler away, I think, for later on, by the sounds of it.
Ooh.
But,
Right, we'll stop. We'll stop there then. Right, so we've got a couple of stories. We each kind of chose a story each to go for. I think Paul was going to introduce the first one. Yeah, Paul?
Yep. The first wee segment we got is a wee segment on Spurs and their kind of meteoric rise. So with Storm Agnes approaching up here, Big Ange is creating a wee storm down south. He is taking over Spurs this season after leaving Celtic, and in his first 6 games, they've drawn 2, won 4, and probably the biggest 2 is beat Man United 2-0, which isn't saying much because Man United are pretty god awful this season. And they just drew 2 each with Arsenal there at the weekend. I think in maybe 4 or 3 in his last games, they went behind and came back, which for Spurs is pretty good because usually if they go a goal down, they usually lose 4 more within the first 10 minutes. So, yeah, Ange Postecoglou seems to be doing a great job so far. Got Liverpool next up, and I think Tottenham can go into that game with not a lot of fear because the way they're playing and the expansive football Liverpool play, I think they could have a pretty good chance of beating them. I think just Ange Postecoglou in general, he seems to have brought a breath of fresh air into the club itself. Because I think after Conte, Mourinho, and Nuno as well, I think they were always under the cosh. They were always making mistakes. Everything seemed very negative. The tactics were negative. The player choice was very suspect, and they seemed to just play the same players all the time. They had like players that were okay, but an older generation like Eric Dyer, Hugo Lloris, players like that. And this season they seem to have kind of cut the deadwood away. Lloris is gone. He brought in a lot of good young players, and just really put his mark on the team. He's playing a lot of the younger players, got rid of the old deadwood. They're playing without fear. He seems to put a lot of trust in with the players as well because he seems to put a lot more responsibility in the players and saying like, look, go play, just all out attack basically, keep playing, and if you make a mistake, you make a mistake, but just keep trying it. No, I'm not going to like hook you or take you off or give you a rollicking for trying something and not getting away with it. You know what I mean? And I think Ange itself and Tottenham has pretty much changed the fundamentals of Spurs, like kind of overnight almost, which I think is pretty unheard of. I don't know what you guys think, but have you seen anyone that's kind of changed a team that quickly? Because like it could have been a terrible appointment at the start of the season because Tottenham were on the down. There's talks of Harry Kane going. Tottenham, the last few appointments has been like a poison chalice. You've got serial winners going there and not making a difference. And Ange's obviously came off a high from Celtic going down there. So it could have been a terrible appointment, but it seems to be working out. What do you guys think?
Obviously, nobody knew who he was when he was thinking back to when he was at Celtic. Like for me personally, when he came into Celtic, I was rubbing my hands because I didn't know who he was. Nobody knew who he was because that side of the world, no one ever kind of thought about getting a manager from there. No one really thought about getting players from that side of the world. Do you know what I mean? So he was an unknown figure, and you could probably say, Paul, as well, that he'd probably transformed Celtic overnight, didn't he? Because I think at the end of the day, when Rangers won the league, the 55, then what was happening there was a lot of the players were leaving. There was a lot of players who were retiring or getting sold for big money, and he had to bring a new team in with no recruitment. No, there's no kind of detective football or anything like that, was there? I don't think anyway.
That's true.
So he was using his own knowledge for the market he was in before and just bringing these players who nobody knew anything about. And to be fair to him, do you know what I mean? As much as I probably don't like saying it, as he's done Celtic a turn, didn't he? Because he's brought in the players. He obviously wrestled the league back from us. To be fair, we were poor that season after Gerrard left. But at the same time, he also had his own issues in terms of getting players to jail quickly, hit the ground running, and they've done that for him. Do you know what I mean? And he's obviously got an aura about him. I think that I don't think he takes any nonsense either, and he's got a real philosophy. He's got a real identity. His play, and something that Rangers didn't have and still don't have, to be honest with you. So I admire what he's done, and to be fair, he's done really well. I know Celtic fans were a wee bit upset at him leaving at the time, and he was obviously going to be there for. They thought he was going to be there for longer, but at the end of the day, if he's nearly 16 or something like that, he's at the end of his managerial career. Do you know what I mean? So if a team like Spurs are coming in from or anyone in the English Premiership come in, he's going to take over and do a job there, and he has done a job there. Can't say he's not. He's unbeaten, isn't he? So he beat the League Cup. I'm sure he could beat, but in the league, he's made some good performances. Teams have came back and won as well. Do you know what I mean? And they beat Manchester United, which is always a bonus. So I can't really deny it. He's done really well, and he has totally changed the philosophy of Spurs. Because if you think back to what you were saying as well, all the coaches they had, the Mourinho and Conte and that, they're all kind of defensive-minded coaches. Whereas Spurs are now, they're pressing high and they're, did I say it, do they stop? Do you know what I mean? So I don't know. He's definitely changed the philosophy and definitely changed. I think a lot of people are now taking notice of Spurs, but it's still early in the season. No, I don't want to, start saying they're going to win the league and win that or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It'll take, if they get into the Champions League this year, or Champions League's the minimum for them, because that's how Spurs have been the last few years. If he makes the Champions League for them, that's progress. And then I think he can do that. Do you know what I mean? He started off well, but it's just consistency in the players he's got in as well. So, he's done a good job so far.
Yeah, I think he'll do well if he keeps, like you say, the key people fit. Like, see if Son and Maddison stay fit, I think he'll be a force to be reckoned with. He's got quite a good leadership. He's got a leadership team about him as well, and he's got Son, Maddison, and Romero as kind of his three main guys. So I think that's how he's kind of instilling the kind of confidence in his players as well. But I do like his style of play. I remember at Celtic when he played Real Madrid in the Champions League, and I think they got beat 3-1 in the end up. But see, for the first half, Celtic were giving Real Madrid a good scare. Like, was it Giacomakis? I think he shot within the first 2 minutes or something, and that put him right in the front foot. It was such a difference from the Brendan Rodgers kind of way of playing, because he sat back and kind of just took it, and they were either going to get beat 2-0 or 6-0. There was nothing exciting about it. They never really had a chance of doing it. But with Ange Postecoglou, it looked as if they had a chance with the style of play. So it's a lot of risk and reward, and so far they're getting a lot of rewards out of it. He does seem like I'm saying, James is a kind of likeable guy as well. He downplays himself quite a wee bit. If he does get plaudits, he's kind of like it's not really me, guys, it's the players. It's them that's got the vibe about them, not me. I'm just kind of directing them. So he does kind of downplay himself a wee bit, and he's always like, oh yeah, I was the kind of last guy standing. Like, they tried about 5 or 6 people before me, and I was just lucky because nobody else wanted it, kind of thing. So he does downplay himself, which I think does help him.
A question for you: do you think this getting rid of Kane has benefited the team, or do you think that's still a mistake?
That's what I was going to actually ask you guys as well, because I don't know, because if Kane had stayed, it might have been easy for him just to use him as a crutch and use him as a focal point rather than instilling it as a team game. Because I don't know if Kane would fit into a team that's not built around him.
Aye, I don't know, because at the end of the day, you play as a team, no as one person. It's like you just get the ball to Harry Kane, he'll score. It shouldn't be that way. Whereas they might function better as a team without him there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's still hypothetical. We don't know how it panned out. He's away now, but it's an interesting question nonetheless. I think. Do you know what I mean?
No,
I think Madison's.
On you go, Cam.
I think Madison's definitely benefited from Kane not being there because after Son, he's probably like number 2 or second fiddle, like in a good way, like one of the most important players. Because Son seems to be relishing the responsibility because he's been playing through the middle a bit more compared to on the left. And Kane's like, how good's Kane? Like, he's already doing bits over at Bayern Munich, like fitting in like a. It's fitting him like a glove, if that's the right phrase. But I think it's you quite often see it, don't you? Like when the best player leaves, the rest of the team kind of step up a bit because it's like their time to shine, really.
Yeah, I think they could have been a bit over reliant on him. Like, oh well, like it's fine if I don't score because Harry Kane will score. You know what I mean? But yeah, Son's really taken up the mantle, I think, because I think last season he only got like, I don't know, 10 goals or something like that, and now he's got about 5 or 6 goals this season already. So yeah, hopefully he keeps banging them in.
Do you think Son just doesn't score an ugly goal? Like even his tap-ins, like that one against Arsenal and off the post, like I just feel like every goal he scores is a beauty.
It's like
it was just a wee delicate spin, wasn't it? A wee delicate touch.
Cool. Well, will we make a wee prediction then of where Spurs will finish this season and we can look back on this?
Aye.
On you go.
Well, Chelsea and Man United are in disarray. I'm going to go 4th. I think Arsenal, Liverpool and City are strong.
I think they'll come 4th as well, Colin. I think Man City will win the league. Arsenal will fall short again. And then Liverpool.
Liverpool looking pretty good.
Liverpool. I think they're still at the rebuild stage though. Do you know what I mean? Strangely, they're still kind of no clicking as much. And don't forget Brighton, by the way, as well. Brighton have come into it a wee bit. They're lying 3rd now, aren't they, I think. So they're not, but given the squad and the depth and things, you would expect Tottenham to be up there. So 4th, I think they'll be 4th.
What about you, Paul?
Oh, I'm going to go a bit bold and go for a wee cheeky 2nd.
2nd?
Oof.
As long as everyone stays fit, I think it might benefit them as well because they're not playing European football this year and everybody else is, so they might stay a bit fresher than everybody else.
Aye.
Yeah,
so I think that might benefit them. So I'm going to go bold and say 2nd. I think Man City have just got too much about them to falter.
Well, we'll see at season's end who was right then. So if we move on to the 2nd story now, this was my question, and it's something I've been thinking about because obviously we've lived through the big hype a few years ago, the Chinese Super League, I think it was called, and obviously we've had a summer of not just the people at the end of their careers, but people at the kind of peak of their powers, like Ruben Neves at Wolves, going over to Saudi Arabia. So my question really is, do you think this will be a sustainable thing? Do you think they'll end up challenging and potentially joining the Champions League, which there's been talk of? Or do you think they'll kind of go the same way as other fads? So we'll start with James. James, what are your thoughts on
that? Okay. Do I think that the Saudi league will last?
Do you think it'll be just for a couple of years, or do you think it'll be something that'll grow and last a long time?
I don't think it'll last a long time. I think it'll. You make comparisons to the Chinese Super League, don't you? Because the money was there. Albeit there's a lot more money in the Saudi League. Ronaldo started it off, didn't he? But I don't think it'll last. I think it's money into it, and for me, it's easy to go for the money. And this is me personally. I wouldn't go for the money. Easy for me to sit here and say that when it's on the table. Do you know what I mean? But personally, I would like to play in a more competitive league where it's on the telly and that. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think it'll last. I think the players will come to realise as well that it's not all to what it's got to be. You know what I mean? I think it's got to hit the glass ceiling somewhere. And the talk about the hit to the Saudi making the Champions League, I hope that doesn't happen because it'll just make a whole mockery of the whole system. I don't know what you think about that, man, but that would open a massive can of worms.
I'm surprised. I might be wrong, but I'm surprised that nobody's or has anyone bought the rights to stream the games yet. Because with the amount of players that went over, I must admit I'd probably be quite curious about tuning in to see some of the games.
I don't know. How many? I mean, I don't know if there's that many players went over. Really?
Seemed like it.
It seemed like it, but I wouldn't imagine. Like if I was to go and look at the squads now, I wouldn't think. I mean, what's the team that's got all the players in it? Like it's got Neymar in it now. Like there's.
Is that Al Ittihad or is that a different one? I don't know. I just want to see Stevie G's team play.
Oh, that's
Jesus. Jack Hendry.
A donkey, Jack Hendry. But listen, it's the players' prerogative. They want to go for the money for 2 years, earn money tax free. Then it's their prerogative. They're entitled to do that. Do you know what I mean? You can't fault them for that, I suppose. But for me personally, maybe they're thinking it'll no last either, and they'll go where the money's there, and then it'll just fall by the wayside. Do you know what I mean? And then they'll come back into Britain or European football. I don't know. I don't think it'll last. I think it'll come. It'll just come to an end at some point. But again, the Chinese Super League, no one hears that anymore. Sky Sports bought the rights to that when it all happened, and I don't know much a game of football.
Has anybody watched the Newcastle documentary on Amazon?
Nah.
I've watched the first 2 episodes, and I don't know, just there's a bit of a kind of uneasy atmosphere in the documentary. It's just like, I don't know. I just hope Newcastle don't get kind of messed about in the future with the connection, because obviously Jordan Henderson's been facing quite a lot of hate because of his big support for the different charities in the UK, and now they're all saying he's kind of turned his back on his principles essentially. So there's that whole kind of social side of it as well.
Yeah, it's like sport washing, isn't it? They're trying to focus on the football rather than kind of face up to all the kind of humanitarian issues they have over there. But
what do you think about the Saudi League, Paul? Do you think it'll be a flash in the pan, or do you think it'll be
I don't know.
Everlasting?
See, Saudi, does it have like financial fair play?
No.
Doesn't sound like it, no.
It doesn't.
So I'd imagine, like, see, you could say like a blank check, and so they could keep going as long as they wanted, really, I'd imagine.
But the players keep going. Will it stay attractive enough for them?
Look, mate, I think as long as there's money, I don't see why not. Like, why did everyone go to the English Premier League? Because it was the most lucrative league in the world at the time. So I don't see why, if Saudi became the most lucrative league in the world, why more people wouldn't get attracted to go to that. You know what I mean?
Do you think some of the... Sorry, James, when you go.
No, I was saying I did laugh at the time when it all came to kind of start. Player X and player Y are going to Saudi League, and the English media were going on a frenzy. And it's like they're stealing all our players. Well, you've been doing that for years and years before that. It's just now happening.
True, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But there isn't any financial fair play in Saudi, the Saudi Pro League.
I don't think there is in England either.
well, Man City will just pay the bill anyway.
Or Chelsea.
Don't get started in Chelsea. Jesus. That'll be if they want to join the Champions League, then there's going to be massive implications for the Saudi teams then, because we do fall under the jurisdiction of financial fair play, and they'll have to play by the rules. But I still stand by what I say. If they join the Champions League, the game's dead. It really is.
I feel like financial fair play is just as messy as the offside rule.
Oh.
There's always loopholes and ways around about it. Like, I just find like everything when it comes to the kind of the Saudi leagues and the Saudi like owned clubs, and there's always some dodgy dealings. It's like, oh, Newcastle got a new shirt sponsor. It's like, oh, do they? And it's like, oh, aye, but they're owned by the exact same guy, so it's not really. Oh, they've done a multi-million-pound deal with this. Oh, but it's actually just my own company.
It's like that meme where the guy's putting a medal on himself. You ever seen that? Paul, what do you think? Do you think some of the players like your Ruben Neves, maybe not so much Neymar? I've never liked Neymar, if I'm honest. He's just never carried himself.
No, I've got a lot of time for Neymar, so I have.
Really?
I can't stand him. I can't stand him. I hate him. I hate him with a passion. Every time I see him, I want somebody to break his leg.
To quote Homer Simpson in the Thompsons episode, 2 against 1. If you know, you know. If you know, you know.
I've got a lot of time for Neymar just because whenever he plays against Celtic, he always scores and he always winds them up. So for me, any day of the week for me, man.
What I was going to ask, Paul, do you think, maybe not Neymar, but like Ruben Neves, these kind of guys, do you think they'll look back at the end of their careers and regret moving there, or do you think their bank balances will keep them?
I think when they're sitting in a big old mansion and the pool that's about 5 times the size of what it could have been, they'll be thinking, you know what, I probably made the right decision here.
But is that it though? Is it not? Is it not about the glory, winning the Champions League, winning a big league?
Oh, he's not going to date with Wolves, is he?
It's that old story though, is ambition versus money into it. What do you pick? So I mean,
I think this segues nicely into James's question. I think there's a nice link between the two areas.
So my question is, and I don't know if you've been reading much about it, that the Champions League will change its format next year. So the current group stages will disappear come next year, and it's just going to be a big league. So instead of the 32 teams that's out there now, there's going to be 36 teams in the one league, and then it will play each other. I think it's twice, it says, but once rather, sorry, and it was split into 2 again. So the first 16 teams will go straight to the Champions League knockouts, and then the ones below that will go into a playoff.
Well, every team, you play every team once. How are you going to fit in 36 games?
I don't know what it is. It's like that anyway. So it's it's what it says here, man. Unless I've got the misinformation. I don't know how the seeding is, but they're changing the format yet. So basically, there's no seeds anymore. You're going to get flung into the group. So we could play. There must still be country protection, I reckon, because that's how they make their money. So they get the country protection to the later stages. So we could essentially, I assume you're going to make the Champions League next year, Colin. I mean, that's with the positive mindsets, etc. That we're going to be playing possibly Real Madrid, Barcelona. Because it's just a one league now.
You said there's country protection. So if there's country protection, how can it be one league? Or do you just not play them?
You just don't play them. So, but I guess my whole question is that do you think then that UEFA have done this simply because of the threat of the breakaway European League, that was all started with was at Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Inter, AC Milan, Inter Milan, etc.
Juventus were in it as well, aren't they?
Juve were in it, and a lot of the English teams were in it as well. Spurs were part of that as well, but I think as it started to kind of filter through, a lot of teams pulled it. But I think Barcelona, Juve, and maybe I can't remember off the top of my head now who it was, but there's still a few teams that are.
I think it was Real Madrid, Barca, Juventus. Was it not United, Spurs, Arsenal?
But I think a lot of the English teams pulled out. So there's
at the start.
The founding members who are still dragging their heels in this and still want it to happen. So I suppose do you think the idea of the Champions League format being in one league like that, where essentially Rangers or Celtic or any team like that could just play anybody? Or do you think it's better the way it is now? Go on, you start with yourself, mate.
I think taking the group stage away I think it's just classic and it works. Like eight groups, top 2, last 16 quarterfinals with the drop offs into the Europa League. I think it works. I don't think it needed to change personally.
No, I don't think so either. But there's it says as well that because there's 32 teams, there's 36 now going to be put into it. So I'm wondering where they're going to find the other 4 teams, where they're going to pick them from.
Probably the English Premiership. The top 10 will be there. Or 4 Saudi teams.
There you go. There's your answer. So I just wonder where, because it all goes by the country coefficient, and as it stands, Scotland in a minute will, for next year, the winners of the league will go straight through to the Champions League. But the second place still has an opportunity to qualify, but there's still 4 teams. Do you know what I mean? That's left there. So I wonder how that they're going to figure that out. Because you can't take any more. You can't take any more for Italy, Spain, or England. I'm sorry, but that's just you can't do that. So I wonder if they'll pity the teams in the lower leagues like Scotland. Scotland really, isn't it? And even the Dutch league is better than ours. Do you know what I mean? And they get lots more money than us. But I don't know, Paul. What do you think?
I need to let a cat out the door. Hold
on. As a Morton fan, I don't really take much notice of the Champions League. I just sometimes turn the TV on a Wednesday and a Thursday, and there's sometimes football games on. But I don't know. It's hard because if they're changing it for the right reasons to freshen it up, then I'm all for it. But if it is just to kind of appease this European Super League thing, then I say to death it. I do like the group stages. Sometimes it can be a bit samey because it's the same teams, and I don't know. It's because it's usually kind of same pots in the group stages. You don't see the same. You kind of see the same teams not playing each other. So if it is a Super League and there's more chances of different games happening, then it could be interesting. It could be better. But if Rangers and Celtic have got all these games to play, then I fear for their records, because they could be making all sorts of records for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, Rangers already have a record, don't they, for the Champions League? For last year. But it says here that the fixtures would be determined using a Swiss-style seeding system. So we play 8 matches against different teams, 4 at home and 4 away. So I don't even know what that means, but I don't like the change personally. I think it was good the way it was. We all knew where we stood. But I suppose if things are the same for so long, it gets boring. But I think they're just trying to make it kind of, for me anyway, I think they're just trying to make it quite similar to this breakaway league that they're threatening to do. And then it appeases the teams, do you know what I mean? But I don't know. We'll see what happens if when it happens, and then we might like it. Who knows? We might actually go to prefer it. We don't like change, I don't think, do we?
No, I don't like it.
Don't like change. But who's to say that we don't? We won't like it. You know what I mean? And Paul, you never know. Morton might make the Premier League one of these days, and they might even end up in the Champions League. You think positive?
I think I'll be dust long before then.
Under the lights at Capello Park. I think Mando likes the sound of the league.
I know he's finally woken up.
Right, guys, will we get into the main dessert of the podcast then, our first big football challenge?
Yeah,
the main dessert. What does that mean?
The main meal? I don't know.
Rangers get Hearts in the semi-final, by the way.
Oh, Lowry's cup tied then.
That's good.
Right, so this idea came about. We're trying to think of, we're going to have like a main focus for each episode. And it was Adam Dickinson, Paul, was it?
It was, it was. From Tallboy Radio.
Yeah. So he mentioned the Invincibles. So I thought it'd be fun if we made a joined combined 11, like if we agreed on certain things. The current Arsenal squad with the Arsene Wenger's Invincibles from 2003, 2004, of which I'm wearing their strip. And I'd like to dedicate this segment to a bit of a cult hero. I've actually got Reyes on the back of this top. Bit random, but it was absolutely tragic what happened to that boy, wasn't it?
Oh, I forgot about that as well. Jeez, oh. What a player
he was some player, yeah.
What a player he was, man.
Okay. Tragic. So I'm going to trial something here as Paul battles with his dogs. I found a website which could make this more visually appealing, but it might cover our faces, which to the audience might be a good thing. But let's try it, because why not? If you never try, you never know. To quote Coldplay. Let's try it.
Does he work?
Ready?
It's a pilot episode. You can get cancelled.
Right.
I've got a feeling I'm going to have to edit quite a few things.
This is football manager. I'm loving this.
How does that look?
Looks alright, mate. You can see our faces still. Can
you see my face?
Aye, unfortunately.
Right, well, let's try it then. So, will we go with the classic 4-4-2?
That's what I've got anyway in my 4-4-2.
Yeah.
I'm 4-4-2, man.
Right.
Don't make things too complicated.
I think we put our cards down on the table. We'll each reveal our player for each position, either from the Invincibles or the current team. And then, unless there will be some unanimous ones, I'm sure. And then, if there isn't, we'll just need to have a bit of healthy debate and decide what we're going for. That'll sound good.
Sounds good, mate.
Sounds good.
Right. Well, who will start this one, eh?
Well, I thought you started. You're the Arsenal fan after all.
I'm the Arsenal fan. Right, so it's an interesting one. There's obviously a subplot with Arsenal this season. They've brought in David Raya from Brentford, wasn't it? To compete with Aaron Ramsdale. And Raya's kind of taken his spot a bit. I think it's a wee bit of a lack of loyalty. Like, I know Ramsdale and his partner had a miscarriage recently, so I don't know if he's maybe struggling a bit mentally. And if he isn't, it's a bit rubbish that they've kind of ousted him instead of backing him, because he was so good last season. Jens Lehmann, who was the Arsenal number one back in the Invincibles, I always thought he was a bit mental and a bit eccentric and a bit all over the place. So on average, I went for Aaron Ramsdale because I think he's a great keeper. I think he's maybe going through a bit of a tough time right now, but the Wenger's a bit rubbish. Arteta seems to have dumped him a wee bit recently. So I go Aaron Ramsdale for the goalkeeper.
Okay.
Go for James next then.
Okay. I went with Lehmann, Jens Lehmann. I just think he's, even though he is a bit of a wild card at times.
Yeah.
He got sent off, didn't he, against Barcelona in the Champions League final?
Yeah, that was 2006.
Time slipping the Barcelona top.
2006 maybe.
Aye. That was Henrik Larsson, didn't he, scored the goals that final?
Can't remember that much detail, but
Jens Lehmann. I just think he's it's time will tell with your keeper. Do you know what I mean? I think at the end of the day, I think Lehman's proved anyway that he's top class. I don't know. I don't have the numbers to hand in terms of clean sheets he had during that season, Colin. But I just know from watching him back in the day that he was top drawer. And for me, I'm going with Lehman.
Paul, deciding vote here, or are you going David Raya, or Emmanuel Almunia? So, who are we going for?
I'm going Lehman as well.
Ooh.
I feel like he's like you're saying, he had a lot of personality, but he was also quite commanding. I do like Ramsdale. I think he's the better keeper from between him and Raya. Like last year, like Ramsdale was like making some unbelievable saves. And this season, for some reason, the Arsenal fans seem to have taken a turn on him, saying that he cost him the league with a couple of mistakes. Like, no chance. But I do think Ramsdale's a better keeper between him and Raya. But Jens Lehmann's one for me. He just seems like more kind of complete keeper between the three.
Is Ramsdale the England keeper?
He's in the squad. He's not.
Yeah, him and Pickford and Pope in it, or him, Pickford and Johnson.
Southgate, as we know, we can maybe discuss this in a future episode, is just extremely loyal to the likes of Pickford and Maguire and Phillips.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
What can you see? My eyesight's not that great. Does it say Lehman on your screen right now?
Aye.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Right, so on to right back. Right back was an interesting one because Ben White plays a lot at right back for Arsenal, but he's not a natural right back, really. I think he's more of a centre back by trade. Laurent, was it Lauren? Was it just pronounced Lauren?
Lauren.
I always thought he was like decent, but he wasn't like outstanding. He was just in an outstanding team. So I've actually went for a bit of a wild card. He got injured in his first game, but he's shown for the Netherlands just how good he can be. A fully fit. I really hope he is a right back by trade. I think they played him on the left a bit. Timber, who got injured early, I think he's got potential to be better than the best of those options because I don't think Laurent was top drawer. I think he was just good, decent, and a good team. I don't know what your guys' thoughts were.
So in your ultimate Arsenal team, you're putting a guy that's played one game over everyone else that's played right back.
No, I'm looking at.
Oh God!
Nah, you're not. You're not listening. I'm looking at the current team, of which I think Timber's the best right back in the squad, albeit injured. I've seen him play for Holland a lot. I didn't think Laurent was a standout in the Arsenal team. He was obviously full of outstanding players. But I think Timber fully fit would be the best, and if they're playing at the same time, I think you're getting ahead of Laurent. That's just my opinion.
Fair enough. Over you, Jamesy boy.
Well,
Jamesy boy.
I've went with Lauren simply because I don't think he was glamour, but I think he was pivotal. Do you know what I mean? I think playing alongside better players makes you a better player, doesn't it? At the end of the day, and
not in my experience.
Yeah, I played football with you before. I made you a better player. No. Draw comparisons. So that the Dutch boy Timber, not seen enough of him. I can't say for sure that he's going to be a good player. I don't know.
It was a bit of a wild card.
I've seen Ben White play there, and I do like Ben White. But as you say, he's not a natural right back. So I've went with Lauren for the right back position. Ben White is the deputy.
I'll win one yet.
Paul.
Based on the 10 minutes I've seen him play, I'm going to go for Timber as well. Nah.
No, you're not.
Nope, I'm definitely not. I'm going to go for
Ben. Make it interesting.
It's a good 10 minutes.
Cracking 10. See that 2 touches he had? Sublime. Absolutely sublime.
Yeah, Paul, have you not seen him playing like the World Cup and stuff? He is a good player. Give me that.
That's his brother. So I'm going to go for Ben White because, like I was saying, I think he is better than Laurent. But he's quite versatile as well, so he can cover the centre and the right if he has to. And he's quite a decent ball player. He's not fancy dancy, but he gets the job done. And I think under Arteta's came on leaps and bounds as well. Yeah, so I'm just went Ben White. So how do we do this now since there's a 3-way split?
Well, I've got Ben White as deputy. Have you got Ben White as deputy, Colin?
I didn't really have a deputy, to be honest. I probably should have in case Timber get injured, but I'm just better because he was in my fantasy team and he got injured in the first game. Anyway,
Timber's a big lump of wood, isn't he?
I'm happy to go Ben White.
Aye, so I'll put Ben White as well in.
Put Ben White.
Yes, I'm winning 2-0.
Right, and then we're on to the right centre-back position. So Kolo Toure was the main right-sided centre-back in the Invincibles. Decent player, not top of the line. So I think I'll get a bit of support with this one. I'm going to go for William Saliba, right centre-back.
It's a good solid
currently
pick.
Considered one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League by many.
Yeah,
Toure was ever
he's
considered
decent.
one of the best by many.
But does Saliba have a song after him that you can play in a nightclub or dance floor?
Actually, yeah, not Kolo. Oh wait, it's a bit of both, isn't it?
It's both.
Yeah, James is pondering here.
Aye, I'm not sure about him.
Pascal Siga.
Paul, you go first, mate.
I went Sol Campbell. Just because he was an absolute mountain and just reliable. Just no nonsense.
Can I just point out Sol Campbell played left centre back in the Invincibles.
Well,
Toure played in the right.
Right, well, I've got my centre backs mixed up then, so it's Saliba then.
Because I'll just say it, I've got Sol Campbell left centre back, so Saliba and Campbell.
I've got Sol Campbell left centre back. Now, I've maybe went a bit too far back here. I'm sure he was part of the team, but it might have been only aye. I think he played 2 games, right? Part of that team. But Keown is solid, right? He may have only played a couple of games during that season. He's come to the
I think he played quite a lot, James.
Did he?
Yeah.
Was
that the same season he bumped Van Nistelrooy in the head?
Which is part of the reason why I like him. He's part of the team. No, that's a great moment. No, I think he's solid, Keown. Whether or not he's better than
me and Paul both have Saliba, so laws of averages, is it Saliba and Campbell?
That must be then.
I think that's a pretty good pairing.
Yep. So far I'm 4 out of 4.
Cool. All right.
Gabriel is good. He gets caught out sometimes though.
Yeah. So Zinchenko's a good player. Gael Clichy was a decent player. I'm pretty sure he was around about then, but I think this was like peak Ashley Cole. So I think this one should be unanimous unless there's any wild cards.
No, I've got Ashley Cole.
Paul?
I went Zinchenko.
Did you actually?
I like Ashley Cole. I do like Ashley Cole, but I feel like Zinchenko offers more impact than Ashley Cole does.
I thought Ashley Cole was like the best fullback I've ever seen left back.
Yeah, he is good, but I just feel that Zinchenko offers more offensively. Plus, he's doing that inverted fullback role, which is a bit more complicated than just your bog standard left back.
Okay, this is even more interesting than the Timber take, I would say.
Zinchenko's my 100%. I was actually contemplating putting him in, but Ashley Cole is phenomenal, and that was the year before he left to go to Chelsea. I'm sure. Maybe he was tapped up with Mourinho.
Is Paul about to get his first defeat?
Could be wrong.
Sounds like it.
Ashley Cole for me, mate, 100%.
Unlucky, Paul.
No, can't be perfect.
I've got a soft spot for him because he scored a winning goal in a Champions League final for me in Football Manager once for Arsenal. I had the suit on. I had the suit on and everything.
To the champagne as well.
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't old enough to drink at that point. Right, so that's us got our defence. White, Saliba, Campbell, Cole. I think it'd look better with Timber on the right, but I'll take it. So now we're going for. I think the midfield will be interesting. I think the strikers pick themselves. Maybe not. I would say they do. Right midfield. Right. Freddie Ljungberg was the main right winger in that team. And he was a good player. But I would say Saka blows him out the water. I think Saka is like one of the best players in the Premier League nowadays. And I don't think Ljungberg ran him anywhere close with that. There's also, I don't know, was Jermaine Pennant maybe in that squad as well, but he's not catching him either. I would go Saka right mid.
Pennant wasn't in the team, no.
I think he was in the squad. I think he was like a reserve under 21s player at the time. But for me, it's got to be Saka, who's outstanding.
Yeah, I'd go Saka as well.
Aye, same here. I've got Saka done.
Unanimous.
Okay, so that one's pretty easy. And then centre mid. So I went for one attacking, one defensive. Because they were quite defensive in the centre midfield and the Invincibles. So I've went for Martin Odegaard as like my kind of attacking of the two. Well, I just say both of mine? Is it easier, the partnership?
Yeah.
So Patrick Vieira, Holding, Odegaard, Roman is what I went for.
Snap.
Nice, Paul. Lovely, Paul.
I've got Patrick Vieira and Edu.
Oh, the bold Edu.
He's not your cult hero now, Colin, is he?
I just think Edu was
that was 2 against 1 though, wasn't it, for Vieira Odegaard?
Aye.
I think that'd be a good pairing.
I don't think Odegaard's he's not a bad player, obviously, he's a cracking player, but I don't know, maybe I'm just thinking, like I said, let's at the start of the pod, do you know what I mean? Edu was just quality.
Yeah.
He was really good. So he was in my team for. I knew right away when I did this, Edu and Vieira would be my midfield. So.
Well, Gilberto Silva was the main man, really, wasn't he?
Aye.
Fabregas was coming through at this point as a youngster as well, wasn't he?
Aye, wasn't in the squad, wasn't in the team though.
I think he was in and around the squad, if that makes sense.
I was in the squad, but he didn't make any appearances.
No.
Yeah, he'd have been a shout if he was a bit older, I would say. I think he was a great player.
Oh, definitely.
So, Vieira and Odegaard.
Yeah.
See if I'm honest here. I think left mid and the 2 strikers should be unanimous, but there might be a wild card. One dodgy, classic, infamous penalty aside. It's got to be Robert Pires on the left wing for me.
Yep, got him as well.
Me too.
There you go. He was a weird player, wasn't he? He was like strong but didn't look strong. He was kind of languid, right word and style. But just some of his goals. Do you remember that lob he scored against Southampton where he just kind of do you know what I mean? It was like the edge of the left side of the box.
Aye, I remember that one.
And he just put it in the top. He was just a joy to watch, wasn't he?
That was a beezer. Cracking goal.
Aye. Just made it look effortless.
They don't do him like him anymore. Anyway, because I went first and we've had a few unanimous picks, I don't want to steal them all. So I think you two should take a shot at revealing some of the striker choices or a striker choice. Although I think they could be quite obvious, but we'll see.
Okay.
Paul, do you want to go? Do you want to go first with a striker pick?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Eddie Nketiah. I think he's really coming to the fore.
He is a decent player, to be fair.
I'd take him over Thierry Henry any day.
What's the French for Paul's talking rubbish?
Je ne sais quoi.
Just
put out there Henry's the best player I've ever seen.
It's one of the best.
No, one of the best, yeah.
Yeah, Henry, 100%.
When Barcelona came to Ibrox, the Champions League, when we drew nothing each, that team had Henry, Johnson, Messi, Ronaldinho, Iniesta.
Why did you put Good Johnson ahead of Messi?
Because Messi was still coming through, a young boy. Is
that a cult hero of yours?
Aye, is actually. It's a good Chelsea boy. No, so I remember that team was phenomenal, and Henry that night was brilliant. We clung on to a 0-0, and then Henry scored in the return leg, actually 2-0 as well. Messi and Henry scored, I'm sure. Anyway, Henry's a cracking player. I've got him as well.
For me, I know like everyone goes on about Messi and Ronaldo, but for me growing up, it was Henry and Ronaldinho were the two, and maybe Brazilian Ronaldo and Zidane. Probably those four. I like the standouts from my kind of teenage years.
R9 was phenomenal. I watched a video on Instagram recently. It was just always his kind of real collection. Fate, Milan and Madrid and all that. He's a phenomenal player.
There's a Ronaldo documentary on BBC iPlayer. Came out like last year.
R9?
Aye,
good. I want to at least watch that then.
For watch. So Henry, I think we're all agreed on.
Aye.
Probably coming from the left. I think that's when he was most dangerous, kind of drifted in.
And well, for my striker line, Colin.
Yeah.
Give mine. So I went with Canu.
Can't tell if he's joking.
Just joking. One with Bergkamp. Bergkamp for me, mate. Bergkamp was phenomenal. I always remember that goal he scored against Newcastle. You know,
he rolled. That was us.
What a goal, man! And just his goal just scored for Holland as well. Do you know what I mean? He was what a baller. And to think he was scared of flying and he couldn't go abroad unless it was by boat and by plane and train. Do you know what I mean? But Bergkamp.
He wouldn't be much use for our away games, would he? Or European games?
No. You need to leave.
Yeah. So I had Henry and Bergkamp as well. Paul, are you agreeing on Bergkamp, or have you got a Jesus up your sleeve?
Nah, 100% Bergkamp. He's like one of my favourite players growing up. Him and Henry were just the pairing. I think I remember I used to have a DVD. It was like called The Centurions or something, and it was like just a compilation of Henry and Bergkamp scoring. There was some team. I think Bergkamp said something about they used to train, used to play, just kicking a ball against the wall. You know, like people react to it and try and control it. He would watch it and see how the ball reacted to the wall and try and understand that rather than try and react to the ball come to him. Yeah, it's such a unique way of looking at it, and his control was like amazing. So yeah, Bergkamp 100%.
What's he doing now? Is he involved with Ajax in some way? No.
I hope no, because they almost burned in there the other week.
I've seen that. The game got abandoned.
Aye.
He's involved in football in some way, but I can't remember what his current job is.
Get him in the director of football at Rangers.
Dennis Bergkamp. What's he doing? What's he up to? Doesn't really.
So just to be clear, just to be clear, we're not having Nketiah and Kanu up front.
No, he's a strikers coach at Ajax apparently.
He's not doing a good job, is he?
He's maybe lost a step.
I think we should. We need to pick a skipper for that team.
That's Vieira, isn't it? It's got to be
Vieira.
And what about a manager?
Wenger.
2v1.
To be fair, Arteta has done a great job at Arsenal.
He's not won anything, though. You can't say that. I mean, he's not won anything.
Aye, but we like him, though. He's one of us, James. One of the boys.
I know, but...
Never forget the celebration when he went like that.
That's right. The family.
So, lineup, we've got Jens Lehmann, Ben White, William Saliba, Sol Campbell, Ashley Cole, Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard, Patrick Vieira, Robert Perez, Dennis Bergkamp, Thierry Henry. So we'd love to hear other people who's checking this out. We'd love to hear what your lineups are as well, so you could share them in the comments for this video.
I would love to hear them. If there's anything you would change or give justification on why we're wrong, then just let us know.
We're going out. I'm yelling timber.
Speaking of comments, did we forget to
Keisha?
say all the comments for all the different sections?
Yeah, we did. Right, James, we'll finish off with that then. James is on the tweets. Paul's got something up his sleeve, and I've got the Facebook here.
Right, okay, so back to the tweets. I've lost it now because we waited so long. So let me go and find that. So in regarding the Spurs tweet that we put out, we got a few replies from that. Craig from Wits of Script said he can't help but admire the guy and his ethos. A decent start, sitting 4 points off the top and fourth, and only 6 games into a 38 match season. Stay clear of injury suspensions. He can be a top 3 club this term. So that's we all said top 4, didn't we? We went with 4, Colin. Paul's went with 2, and Kay's gone with 3. So
can I change mine to 3 so we can have an outright winner? I'll stick to 4.
Beans, Gaz, Dave, and Andy. This is from Tall Boy Radio. The guy has been playing good football. They are weathered early pressure from Arsenal on the weekend. Probably should have won the game. Never a penalty. And I didn't see the game the weekend, so I can't comment on it. Dark horses for second spot if they keep the key players fit. And that's from a gunner who's watching on very nervously. I will see. Casting views. Can't wait. As a Spurs fan, I love the fact he's brought unity to the club that we're missing in the last few years. I know it's early days, but he's brought a smile back to the players and fans, also promoting youth into the team and encouraging an attacking philosophy. We spoke about that, didn't we? Spoke about the philosophy that he brought to Celtic, and he brought it to Spurs as well. So that's the comments from that on Twitter. Regarding the other topics, the Saudi League. If I can find that now. So, Craig from What's Script, he said, reason why, so, will the Saudi hype be a fad like the Chinese Super League? He's wrote, money talks, which is very true. And what do people make of the new Champions League format? Craig has wrote, horrendous. So I think we're all in agreement.
That sounded just like him, James.
I can never try and imitate him, no. But certainly, I think we've all kind of agreed that we don't like change. So that's the tweets.
Definitely not. Paul, you had something to share?
Yeah, I've got a WhatsApp message from my pal Chris, who's a Tottenham fan. Don't hold it against him. He says, I like the way we are playing. Love the risk and reward to the gameplay. Breath of fresh air after Jose, Nuno and Conte. Love the fact he's giving youth a chance and finally moving away from the older players. Our starting 11 only has 4 players in the team from previous managers. Sonny, Deke, Kuti and Richie. Basuma looks reborn under Ange. All new additions are doing fantastic at the moment. I put them down at the start of the season to win league. I do every year. Got it at 50 to 1. Put £10 on. Best I felt about it in a long time, even though we all know City will finish top. And remember, kids, gamble responsibly.
£10 lost, isn't it?
Yeah. Thank you for the donation.
Is that you, Paul?
That's me, brother.
I just wanted to, just before we finish up, we said keeping these ideas up our sleeves, but however, I'm a man of principle, and we did say we would give shout-outs to people who engage with the posts. So a few ideas for potential future topics. Scott Cowan said Liverpool AC Milan Champions League final. I think that could be a good shout to talk about. Alan Murdoch said Scotland, Holland, 1978. Stuart McCallum mentioned bringing back the Tennant Sixes, which I'm clearly too young to remember. Do you remember the Tennant Sixes, James? Sorry, that made you sound old there.
No, I don't remember that. No. Back in the days. No.
So it's kind of like the Masters, I think, but it was like current
Aye.
players rather than former players. So
I think that's what it was. Yeah.
And Wait What podcast mentioned European giants, so talking about like Real Madrid, Barca, Milan, and West Ham, and maybe looking at kind of Scotland England games. So I'm on the verge of a sneeze here. Project Football podcast, who me and Paul guested on for, and who we had on for Dodgeball. Best Scottish 11 to have played in England. And some great ideas from Podalicious78, which is what's the script undercover. Is 442 dead? Talked about transfer fees and wage capping, which we touched on a bit, and the reintroduction of the 3 foreigners rule. And I had to mention this one. Stu World Order says he likes it when people call it footy with an IE at the end.
Do you want to give him a footy? Said no one ever.
And the last suggestion was Podalicious78 again, talking about the life and times of Alistair McCoy, which I think would be a popular one with a lot of people. He's well liked, even out with the eyebrow circles.
Aye, he's a cracking guy.
Oh, I'm glad these sneezes are coming on at the very end here, Billy. Hey, boys, it's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed doing our first ever football podcast. I think it's been, from my perspective, good fun.
Aye, I've enjoyed it.
It was good. Are we going to let Gary back in?
Yes.
Gary. Okay.
Although we wouldn't be able to see the background if we got 4 in.
Is he on the treatment table anyway? So you'll be back next week. Next
Gary's kind of 3 to 4 weeks.
6 to 10 days.
So yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I'm looking forward to next month's, and if anyone has any suggestions for stories or challenges or anything like that, we'll be delighted to hear.
All right. Thanks very much for having us again.
Having us.
Yeah, you're not a guest anymore. You're not a guest anymore, James.
I was in default. Thanks for part of it, I guess. I know. I'm not a guest anymore. I'm part of it.
That should be me saying that after I've been missing for like the last 6 weeks.
On that note, I think we'll end it there because we're into injury time.
Cheers.
Nice. Have a good one.